Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Today we have a first look. This is the new LX series of kicker amplifiers. We're not going to be looking at this today. We're actually going to be looking at this guy right here. This is the new LX controller. What we want to do is kind of explain what this is, what it's going to do for you, how it's meant to function, where it's meant to go, and just kind of get ahead of like all the speculations on this piece because we know it's new and not everyone knows what it does, but they've seen it and they're like, what? In today's video, we're going to learn all about this, but don't worry, we'll come back and talk more about this in another video. We want to cover this. You guys ready for this, Fernando?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. One of the most anticipated amplifiers to come out in a long time is going to be this guy right here, the new LX line of amplifiers from Kicker. This has been years in the making, and we're so excited to finally have it out and be able to talk about it. It isn't shipping yet, but it will be shipping soon enough. There's a ton of features it has, but one of the things that is probably most striking and probably most confusing is this guy right here. And this is the controller for the amplifier, and the reason why is if we take a quick glance at this, the only thing this amplifier has on it are these gain inputs right here, and then there's some channel selection push buttons right here, but there's no crossovers, there's no nothing. These are just inputs. So to help optimize the performance of the amplifier, they came out with this guy right here. Let's learn about it. When you pull the amplifier out of the box, this is the command center you're gonna find. Attached to it is this 1 meter long cable that has this phone style connector here on the end. This is designed to plug into the amplifier where the bass knob, this guy here, would go. What that means as far as installation goes, you're gonna get your subwoofer level control that comes with the amplifier, and it is going to plug into here, and then the other end is going to plug into your controller, this guy here, and this is going to go up to the front of the car. This is going to be normal use for the amplifier. This guy here is going to do everything you need it to do, pushy buttons, typical style bass knob stuff the Kicker is used to. However, to set up the amplifier, this is unplugged, and this is now plugged into the same port. What that means is you're going to be using this and not this. This is only needed to be plugged in while setting up the amplifier. Once the amplifier is set up, you're gonna unplug it, put it back in the box, give it back to the customer, put it in your toolbox, whatever you need to do with it, but you're done with this because now you're gonna be using the controller. That's the first thing you have to know about how this system is going to work. Now that we know that, let's plug this guy in, power up the amplifier, and see what controls we're actually getting on the unit. When the unit first powers up, it's going to give you some general information about the amplifier. In this case, we know that it's the Kicker LX 7-channel amplifier. The voltage we're getting out of our power supply is 12.8 volts, and the temperature of the amplifier is 28.3 degrees Celsius. This temperature will always be Celsius. That is by design. It will never read Fahrenheit. There is no way to switch it to Fahrenheit. It will always read Celsius, just so that you know, and to save the headache of trying to what button do I push to get it to say Fahrenheit. It will never say it. It's always going to say Celsius. As we pointed out, the amplifier does have these gain knobs on them. Amplifier 1, which is channel 1 and 2, amplifier 2, which is 3 and 4, and so on and so forth. These are designed to be turned up and down as you're setting the amplifier. The reason why they're red, they're also clear, and these are peak light indicators. So as you're playing your test tone and you're turning this guy up, these are going to start to blink in order for you to turn them down. That way you can optimize the gains in the amplifier, put the cover back on the amplifier, and essentially you're done with it for now, and the rest of the controls are going to be done through here. The reason why I say that, you'll notice right here where it says gain trim. Go to the first knob located down here in the bottom left corner. Click it. It's going to say amplifier 1. Over here where it says amp select, you can press the button and change between the 4 amplifiers, 1, 2, and subwoofer, and then it'll cycle back around. You can also click this button and go through them as well. The gain trim feature is designed to allow you to turn the amplifier down -9 dB, or turn the amplifier up another 3 dB. The reason for this is to do fine tuning using the controller here. A case in point might be if you put tweeters on channels 1 and 2 and a mid bass on channels 3 and 4. If you've optimized the gain input on the amplifier, you might get in the car and realize that, oh my gosh, these tweeters are just killing it. This will allow you to easily go back in and start doing level control for the tweeters so that you can gain match the output volume of the speakers on different channels. I might want to turn those tweeters down another 4 or 5 dB, and then if I have a mid-range on channel 2, I might want to boost that another dB. If I go to amplifier 3, if this is my rear fill and I'm not a big fan and they're coming in nice and strong, I can come in and then level those down. Then depending where I set my subwoofer, I may need to give myself a little bit more boost or a little less boost. This allows me to do all those minor adjustments here instead of having to go back and forth to the gain. So if the amplifier is mounted in a hard to get at place, like underneath a seat or something like that, or it's like you gotta keep flipping the seat up to adjust the gain. Either way, you now have the ability to control those things directly from this controller. This is gonna make things a lot easier to do those level matching between tweeter mid bass or tweeter mid and rear, as well as the subwoofer. This side here is what is responsible for gain. That's why these lines are in there. So that is all the gain section. Next up is high pass. Press the button. We have amplifier 1. We can select amp select and go through our 4 amplifiers. And we see H off and L off. And FR. FR stands for full range, meaning that there's neither a high pass or a low pass selected. If this channel is just going to run, like we said, a set of tweeters, we can now turn this dial and keep turning the dial until we get the desired frequency we want. The max is going to be 5,000. We want to be somewhere around 32. And there we go. This is now set up for a pair of tweeters. If we were going to do just a front pair of mid-range and tweeters, like a set of components using a passive crossover, we might want to choose a frequency a little bit lower, somewhere, let's say, in the 80 range. If we select amplifier number 2, we now need to set up a bandpass channel. To do that, we have to engage the low pass, which is going to be this knob here. Turn this dial until we get to the 32 right there, and now we can turn our high pass to its corresponding frequency. If this is like a 6.5, we'll choose that 80 Hertz. If we look up here where it says BP, that stands for bandpass. If this is a mid-range channel, then we'll want to turn this up, of course, and we'll put it somewhere around, let's say 350. Select amplifier number 3, full range. We'll set our low crossover, which LP, to 350, and then we'll turn our high pass up to 80. This, as you can see, is making adjusting the crossover frequencies super easy. No more dialing in on the side of the amplifier and hoping that you're getting it right. This is going to be 100% right. If we select our subwoofer amplifier, there are already some predetermined frequencies that are there. This will top out at 160. It is a bandpass, which means we do have a subsonic filter set to 10 Hertz that we can adjust just like any of the others, and then turn this down to match up with our mid bass. So now if we go back through the amplifiers, we have our tweeter crossover, we have our bandpass for our mid-range, we have a bandpass for a mid-bass, and we have our low pass. Now that we have our frequencies set, we need to come over here to where it says crossover type. We have 2 to choose from, Linkwitz-Riley or Butterworth. If we choose Linkwitz-Riley, we can come down below it where it says crossover slope, and we have a 24 dB or a 12 dB option. If we pick Butterworth, we have 12, 18, and 24 dB adjustment capability. Simply by pressing these buttons, we can easily go through and adjust our crossover slopes for our desired playback. In this case, because we're going full active, we are going to pick a Linkwitz 24. If we select amp, crossover, Linkwitz, go to 24, select amp again, make sure it's set for Linkwitz, 24. And then on our sub, This is where you can choose what you want. I'm a big fan of Butterworth 12 dB on my subwoofer. I like a little bit extra reach. Now that we've set the crossovers, the last setting for the dial is time delay, which is going to be this dial here. What this time delay feature is designed to do is adjust the left speaker or driver's side speaker to the passenger side or right side speaker. That means you can adjust the delay for channels 1, channels 3, and channels 5. Simply by turning the dial, you can add milliseconds to delay to those channels. Select amplifier 2, it will do the same thing. Select amplifier 3 as well. It will not do it for the subwoofer. As we can see here, it's now adjusting a gain. And speaking of subwoofer, let's talk about some of the features that it has in the controller. First is phase. We can invert the phase simply by pressing the phase button here. Kicker EQ gain, which is different from subwoofer gain located over here. Kicker EQ gain here. This is going to be boost, where this is just that. It's a subwoofer gain. When setting these up, you do have to select a delicate balance between those. This is designed to be boost. You're going to adjust that boost gain. When we press the button, we're going to get frequency. So now we can choose our bass boost frequency from 20 all the way up to 80. We know we don't want that. We're going to bring this somewhere down in this crazy range right here. Select it again, and now we have width or Q. This is how much of that frequency and that gain it's going to affect that EQ point. Do we want it very narrow, or do we want it to affect a ton of frequencies? We want it to affect a ton. So that'll make a big fat bass sound. We can crank this sucker up to maximum width. This gives us the gain here of that frequency, the frequency, and now the Q. This is our sub kicker EQ. Now going back to the level control for the subwoofer, this is one of those situations where once you're in the car and doing it, you may need to start trimming this down because you've added this to it and you don't want to blow your subwoofers or cause a bunch of distortion and heat. One other adjustment that is in the amplifier is channel mode. If we go back to amplifier 1 and we press channel mode, it's going to say stereo. This is a normal application for it. This means I have a left sound, I have a right sound playing through the stereo. If I press it one more time, I can do mono left plus right. If I press it one more time, I can do mono left minus right. These are going to allow you to do some different things with the amplifier. For example, if we do left plus right, we might want to be bridging the amplifier. If we pick left minus right, we might want to do this out of the rear channels in order to give us a unique sound of surround. It's a basic way of doing that. Once I've gone through and have all of these features set up the way I want them to, and I'm happy with the way it sounds, unplug it from the amplifier. The amplifier has all of the memory built into it. It is not of this. This is just a controller, and this is not exclusive to this amplifier. Any one of these will plug into any one of the amplifiers and do this. So if you happen to lose one of these, well, you can easily enough order another one, or if you have another one of these amplifiers, let's say you bought a 7-channel and a 4-channel, you can take the one out of the 4-channel and plug it in and do the same controls. This is a universal controller and is not made to sit in the car all the time, because those functionalities that we just did are more or less not something you'd be doing all the time. You're not going to change your crossovers on the fly. They're made for setting up, and then once it's done, you plug it, you put it away, and you forget it. What do you think, Fernando?
I think it's awesome.
He thinks it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Hopefully you think it's awesome, and now you understand how this amplifier is going to work going forward. One little bonus feature though, if we pull this top cover off, we can see that there's like a green light here. If we pull this off, we can actually change the colors of it simply by pressing this button here. Pretty cool. This also can be put in either way to mount the amplifier. We'll learn more about that once we do the unboxing. The most important thing though is for you guys to understand the functionality of this controller and how it is going to make your life way easier and way more precise, as opposed to just having some, you know, cheesy gain control or crossover that you're like, no, precision. It's all about precision and convenience. That's all we got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you find this extremely useful. Be looking for that full unboxing review we're gonna do on this guy. Fernando, if you please.
On to the next one, guys.
You guys have a great night as always. We'll see you later next time.
Bye.
Bye.